Hello everyone, enjoy the video. Jack had secretly planned to build a new house just for Tu Qian, a loving home that she was completely unaware of. No blueprints, no revelations, everything was kept hidden like a sweet secret. When the truth was revealed, Tu Qian was stunned, unable to believe her eyes. What made Jack do such a surprising thing? Could this be the turning point for their love? Tu Qian and Jack stopped the car on the side of the road, where a small dirt road led to a lush green melon field. The morning sunlight spread across the melon rows like gold on the ground. She turned to Jack, smiled gently, and said goodbye to him with a gentle nod. On her shoulder was a familiar bamboo basket, an object that had accompanied her many early mornings in the field and late afternoons back home. Tu Qian's steps were gentle but decisive, walking along the grassy bank leading to the middle of the field. The melon vines stretched down to the ground, covered in a deep green color mixed with plump, smooth, ripe melons. She bent down, gently turned each leaf, and meticulously selected each fruit. Each fruit was picked with the care and experience of someone familiar with the fields. The basket gradually filled up, weighing heavily on her back. But Tu Qian's face still shone with satisfaction. When the basket was full, she stood up straight, wiped the sweat from her forehead and began carrying each melon out of the field. Each step steady in the early morning sun, faintly showing the figure of a girl attached to the land and labor. Jack came to the construction site at the invitation of a friend, a supervising engineer, to review a housing project that was having technical problems. As soon as he got out of the car, Jack saw his friend having a tense discussion with the homeowner right at the scene. He approached, politely greeted the homeowner, and said to his friend, "Let me see the technical drawings." After skimming through the drawings, Jack frowned, pondered, and said, "According to the drawings, everything is fine. There are no errors." He turned to the homeowner and gently said, "I have some technical matters to discuss privately with my engineer. Don't worry, I'll come over to your house for a drink later." The homeowner, a middle-aged man, looking calm, nodded in agreement and left the construction site. When there were only two people left, Jack said sternly, "Have you been closely monitoring the construction since it started?" The friend sighed, "I was supervising the whole time. But yesterday I had an urgent matter so I couldn't come." Jack shook his head. "The problem lies in the construction workers' technique. There are places where the work is not up to standard. Those parts need to be demolished and rebuilt from scratch. I'm responsible for the materials, because the homeowner has saved up his whole life to build this house. When you do something, you have to be responsible." After that, the two went to the old house of the landlord to have a drink. As soon as they sat down at the table, the new friend introduced Jack to the landlord. It turned out that he was the village chief. As soon as he heard Jack's name, he said, "Your name sounds familiar. Tu Qian's boyfriend in this village is also named Jack." Jack smiled. "I am Tu Qian's boyfriend." The village chief nodded, then recounted the story of the recent flood that caused heavy damage to Tu Qian's house. She had gone to the policy bank to borrow money. Jack offered to help pay the debt, but the village chief shook his head and said, "This matter is related to paperwork. Whoever borrows must pay. Besides, this is a government policy to support people in flood-affected areas." Then he added, "Tu Qian's farm is a bit low. It is easy to flood when it rains heavily. There is a piece of land higher up there. It seems the owner wants to sell it." Hearing that, Jack immediately asked him to ask for help. The village chief took out his phone and called, and received news that the land was still available. Jack asked for the phone number. Then they both stood up, saluted him and left, Jack's eyes shining with determination for a new project that was forming. Jack sat in the car, his hands resting lightly on the steering wheel, but his eyes were looking into the distance. He kept thinking about the land the village chief had just mentioned. Should he buy it? Would that place be safe and suitable enough for him to start cultivating again after the flood? The questions kept swirling in his head. After a moment of hesitation, Jack took a deep breath, picked up the phone and dialed the number. He decided to call the landowner. His voice resolute. I want to go see that land today. At this time, Tu Qian was walking along the path leading to the market. The bamboo basket on her back was heavy with freshly picked melons. Sweat was beading on her forehead, but her steps were still quick. Her eyes shining with hope for a lucky market day. When she arrived, the market was already crowded with people. The cries and calls mixed together to create a bustling, lively atmosphere. She chose a small corner near the path, put down the basket of melons and quickly spread out a plastic sheet to display her goods. The round, plump melons with smooth skin stood out in the sunlight, attracting the eyes of many passers-by. Not long after, a few people stopped to ask the price and then chose to buy. Tu Qian smiled gently, warmly inviting them, her hands quickly choosing melons for customers. In just a moment, the first melons were sold. She looked at the basket that was already a bit empty. Her heart was relieved, and she hoped to sell them all before noon so she could return in time. Jack parked the car neatly on the side of the road, where the small slope led to the newly leveled land. He got out of the car, the midday sunlight gently shining through the trees on the side of the road. Taking out his phone, Jack called the landowner, his voice calm. I'm here. Are you there yet? After hearing the confirmation from the other end, Jack quickly walked up the dirt road leading to the land. Before his eyes was a large, flat piece of land, the newly leveled red soil still smelling of new dust. A middle-aged man was waiting. Jack approached, greeted politely. I was introduced to this land by the village chief, so I know about this land. The landowner smiled friendly and began to introduce. This land is about 1 hectare wide from the hill to this section. The ground I just had people level it very cleanly. Jack nodded and asked directly, so how much do you plan to sell this land for? The man replied, it cost me tens of millions to level this land. And now I need to sell it for over 200 million. After a while of chatting, Jack asked specifically how much it cost. And the landowner said, I'll put it at 280 million. Jack thought for a moment, looked around the land again, then turned back and nodded. I've decided to buy it. If you need anything, just contact me at the phone number I just called. When the paperwork is done, I will transfer the full amount to you. The two shook hands, starting an important decision. Tu Qian gently wiped the sweat from her forehead as the sunlight began to intensify. The market had begun to thin out, with only a few stalls remaining. She squatted down, gently handing the last melons to the customer who had just stopped by. With a relieved smile, today's melons are very sweet. Thank you very much, she said sincerely. When the customer left, the bamboo basket was empty, leaving only a bit of dust and dry melon leaves. Tu Qian stood up, stretched, then gathered the plastic sheet, folded it neatly, and put it back in the basket. With the light basket on her shoulder, she quickly left the market. Her legs were tired, but her heart was light. Because today's market, although tiring, was filled with small joys. All the melons had been sold out. Jack stopped the car at the exact spot where Tu Qian had gotten off that morning. He turned off the engine, opened the door, and walked quickly up the small bridge across the canal in the middle of the field. The wind blew gently, carrying the scent of grass and ripe rice. Standing on the bridge, Jack looked into the distance, where the horizon still had a faint afternoon sun. He pondered, the question still lingering in his mind, was the decision to buy that piece of land too hasty? Was it really the right choice? But then he told himself, the only thing he thought about when making that decision was that he wanted Tu Qian to have a safer and better life, free from the worries of the rainy season. While lost in thought, Jack suddenly saw the familiar figure of Tu Qian walking on the path in the middle of the field. The afternoon sunlight shone on her dress and the empty bamboo basket on her back. Jack waved and called out, Tu Qian. Tu Qian looked up, her eyes shining. She waved back and ran quickly up the bridge, her steps faltering with joy. Have you been waiting for me long? Jack smiled. I just got here too. The two of them got into the car. As the car started moving, Jack turned and said, why don't we stop by to buy some essentials like rice and instant noodles to bring to Mr. Deng's farm? Tu Qian nodded, her eyes filled with warmth and sympathy. The car turned into a roadside grocery store. The two of them quickly picked up a few bags of rice, a few boxes of instant noodles, cooking oil and a few other small items. After packing them all up, they continued their journey towards the farm, where there was still someone waiting in the midst of the uncertain rainy and sunny season. Mr. Deng was diligently sweeping around the farm, holding an old but still sturdy bamboo broom. Each sweep was decisive, gathering dry leaves and small trash into neat piles. At his feet, a few cats were running back and forth. One rubbed against his pants and looked up, meowing as if wanting to play. Looking at them, Mr. Deng's face showed a gentle expression, a rare rustic smile blooming amidst the daily hardships. At that moment, from the gate, Tu Qian and Jack walked in, carrying bags of rice, instant noodles, cooking oil and some essential items. Mr. Deng was momentarily stunned by surprise, then quickly put down the broom and walked closer. He was moved and said, "Thank you very much, Jack. It was already a great honor to let me stay here. Now you have to bring things in." "I don't know what else to say." Jack just smiled gently, and Tu Qian gently held his hand and said, "We just want to make your work a little easier." The three of them sat down on bamboo chairs, chatted for a while, then Tu Qian and Jack asked permission to leave, leaving Mr. Deng with a smile still on his lips. When reaching the farm gate, Jack suddenly turned to Tu Qian and said, "Follow me up here. I want to show you a place." Tu Qian curiously nodded. Then the two of them walked along the dirt road leading up to the small hill behind the farm. When they arrived, Jack stopped, his eyes looking at the wide open space in front of him. The wind blowing, the peaceful scenery. He smiled and said, "The farm I bought before extended all the way up here." Tu Qian was surprised. "I didn't know it was this big." "If so, that's great. Building a house up here will save you a lot of repairs during the rainy season." Jack turned to look at her, his eyes sincere. "I will build a house here for you. As for the farm down there, let Mr. Deng live there for now." Hearing that, Tu Qian was moved. She smiled brightly and suddenly kissed Jack lightly on the lips, her heart filled with happiness.
Người là ánh sáng, người đi nhẹ giữa đời thường, giảng đơn chiếc áo con đường sớm hôm. Mắt người soi sáng non sông, từng câu nói nhỏ mà lòng rộng sâu. Giữa trưa nắng giữa đêm thâu, vẫn lo cho nước bạc đầu chẳng ngơi. Bát cơm sẻ nở cho người, chiếc chăn đắp lạnh vẫn cười dịu êm. Tấm lòng như biển không tên, yêu thương đất nước, lặng thầm sắc son. Bác là ánh lửa cháy tròn, dẫn đường tổ quốc sắc son lòng dân.